और जो मैं कर रही हूँ काफी नहीं है?
नहीं है और नहीं है भाई, यहाँ पे सेंसेशन बिकती है। ये लोगों को ना मसाला चाहिए, मसाला।
Hello, everyone. This is Ibrahim Khan, and I'm joined today by Mr. Muhammad Ali Hakim and Shakeel, both from Karachi. Um, I think we all saw Wakhri, Iram Parveen Bilal's Wakhri over the weekend. And we're here to share our reaction, response to the film with all of you. Um, so let's start the conversation by talking about what our perceptions were about the film, or what our expectations were from the film before going in.
My reaction was surprised because I thought the film would be a lot slower than it actually turned out to be. So kudos to the editing team in India
Wait,
that
we're
did
not
an
talking about going in. We're not going into the theater yet. We're talking about what our perception, what our expectations were from the film before going in to see it.
Oh, so like I said,
Yeah,
it was really, I thought it was going to be a really slow film, but
right.
kudos to the team in India that did like it's such an amazing job that it was like, really, really fast. It's a very fast-paced film. And
Is it who's the editor in the film?
Aarti Bajaj was
I
the
think
editor.
I thought so. I didn't know. Isha, what about you? What was your perception of the film? What were your expectations?
Well, again, knowing Iram's work, I already had high expectations, honestly. Watching the trailer, also like there were some really, really like it felt like it had many gripping moments or something. I would want to watch it. Yes, I did feel that maybe some things, especially regarding like women, might be a bit um you know, for lack of a better word, redundant because कुछ चीजें काफी हम देख भी चुके हैं, But again, अभी सिर्फ हम expectations की बात कर रहे हैं, so that was just the expectation before
Right.
watching.
I think I knew that Iram's been working on this film for a while, and the one thing that I knew about it was that it was sort of inspired by, Kandil Baloch.
Indeed. Yeah.
And so for me, the trailer was, that kind of really, it was very different from what I was expecting. Because, Gulshan's character is there, like front and center. The story, everything felt a lot more contemporary, and I'm contemporary as in like very right now, So I knew, Kecha, this isn't us sort of looking back, you know, at Kandil's life in any way. This is, sort of, this is something different. So yeah, and I think that in going into the film also, I think that's something that, I suppose, provided a little bit of freshness, Kecha, it's not just that. Anyways, one line responses to the film. What was the what how did you feel about the film overall, if you can sum it up?
The one word that I can think of is it's gripping. Gripping is the right word for it because it once it latches on, it doesn't let go. So, there's very little room for you to even stop and think because a lot of things are happening. And like, there's not much room for you to say, oh, yeah, but maybe.
It definitely flowed, and that can be a problem with a lot of Pakistani films. Is a lot of times one doesn't know where they're going. You know that sort of like
Mm,
promise doesn't get delivered, or where we're going to go, and that sense of direction of what the story is and where it's moving. Like from the get go, like from the moment you get in, like it's moving. Um, and then what I was saying was that you know despite the fact that these are very marginal characters, and a lot of bad things are happening to them, like someone gets Is it a spoiler if I say that someone gets shot in like the first? I don't think that's much of a spoiler actually. I'm not saying who. Um, but so there's some really dark things happening, but at the same time, the film kind of lets you know that it's going to be a fun ride. Like you can sort
Mm.
of relax and enjoy. And I think the music has a part to play in that. Um, Isha, what about you? If you could sum up the experience or the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much said what I had in my head as well. Okay, you're just completely immersed in their story, right? You wanna know what's gonna happen next, what's gonna happen, and I think that's the win of a story if you wanna know what will happen next, right?
Mm.
So that plus, yeah, I mean, as Ali put it, like suspension of disbelief, but obviously as a filmmaker, we tend to notice things, like that, dissect things like that. Oh, okay, like it's a film going on, but I felt that it was a very good mix of delivering a message and making it entertaining as well, which is a very hard balance to strike, I guess.
It's because it's well written, well acted, well shot, you know, and it's got some great character moments throughout it. And honestly speaking, there was a lot. I mean, I don't think there was any part in that film that you can say was like unnecessary. That like you can tell, oh, and
Mm.
this character was just not needed. Why did they do that? Even the cameos made sense in the larger context of the film because it was talking about social media and Pakistani society and the many myriad issues that we deal with, especially women and marginalized communities.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of relevance to that. Merely the biggest takeaway though was, the kind of finesse that the film had overall. Like you know, I was really impressed with what a grip she, has on the film. Tonally, like, all of the departments are coming together in such cohesion. Like, I saw it at a cinema in Pindi, and I've seen a lot of films there, and I've seen a lot of like, big Hollywood films like Fast and the Furious, and all of those like big kachra films. And I mean,
I
these
like
are
that big
proper
kachra.
big kachra. But despite all of that, like they're big studio films. They have a lot of like money and human resource and everything behind them. And when every time I've watched a film like that, I just notice you know it's not just glitches. There's a lot of glitches as well that you notice on the big screen, but also like awkward moments, in terms of cinematography, sound design, like little awkward moments that somehow you don't really see on if you're watching a film on TV or something, but in the cinema so many times with these films. And here there was just such finesse to it, right down to the sound design, the cinematography, everything. And you look at that, and I mean, I this is the work of a director who really knows, what she's doing.
Yeah,
And I think out of all of Iram's film, like, this is just head and shoulders above them, and it's better than a lot of work. A lot of mainstream work, happening outside of Pakistan as well. I think this is better, and that's the one thing that I noticed in from the beginning to the end. It was
yeah.
masterful.
I mean, it's the
So
fourth feature, right? The fourth feature of a director
yeah,
who has been consistently, you know,
yeah,
working on her craft to this level, and who still is open to learning, which is, I mean, such a amazing. Essentially, you can see that on screen. There's no. I mean, it's very lean. If you know what I mean, like this film flows and it doesn't have any moments where you're like, okay,
yeah,
that was a loose ball,
yeah,
something that just throw away. Okay, why did they put that in? Even if there's like a cameo, like I said before, it has relevance simply because somehow connects to your overall theme, and you're like, okay, this is what the expectation is gonna
Yeah.
be.
No, the running time as well. It's very tight, but at the same time, there's just so much expanse to it. Mujhe, with a lot of Pakistani films, I go and like they just feel small. Like there's that sort of low budget vibe of like, there's just not enough in that film. It just kind of struggles to get to the end, and you don't get that sense of, the expanse doesn't have to be necessarily in set pieces, कि बहुत सारे सेट्स देख लिए या पूरी दुनिया घूमा या कुछ, but it has to have expanse in some way. um Here, like, I felt fulfilled with, I felt like, I we explored like all aspects of this world that way, that we were in. It didn't give a sense of, although the running time is not that much, I think it's an hour 40 minutes or so, right?
Yeah, 100 minutes. Yeah, 100 minutes. It's just,
So yeah.
Isha,
मुझे एक
I'm curious. I have a question now. What was your take on it when you saw Faryal's character? Uh, like, what was your take on her as a
Like the
Pakistani
character.
woman?
Oh, I was so pleasantly surprised with with her character and the way she portrayed it as well. Because I could just feel the frustration. I could just feel what she's going through and why she was so much on edge. You know, there were obviously, like, we can't talk about scenes. I don't know, spoiler है या नहीं है, but
अगर
again the scene
स्पॉइलर
where
नहीं है तो थोड़ा बहुत कर सकते हैं, आई थिंक करना चाहिए.
I think
हाँ,
you can talk about the character
I think
traits
there's a
because that's
scene,
a
yeah. So there's a scene where she has this whole outburst, of, with her friend Gucci, who was also again an amazing performer. I
yeah.
was blown away with his
Gulshan,
performance.
Gulshan, like, I mean,
Yeah,
I can say it right now
Gulshan
because when I
Majeed.
was looking at the dailies, I said, man, this guy is the star right now, this
Yeah,
film. Like,
definitely.
he just stood out, like, from the
He
rest of the
stood out
crowd.
for me. I agree. He stood out for me, and their relationship as well was very. In all
Oh
the scenes that they were in,
no,
it was
that
so
chemistry, I think, makes
that
the film. You
chemistry.
don't
Yeah,
see chemistry like that every day. I think
true.
that really makes it.
There was such a special friendship, and there was so much warmth in that you just saw that, and like that friendship. It occurs very rarely in life, and you know that.
Mm.
So the her character, as Ali was asking, was like I could just. I was actually worried because I knew. Obviously, we all knew that Wakhri एक persona है. So I was actually like kind of wanted to know how she would, have that character shift. But the way I think that is also again a great thing on Iram's part, that the way the characterization is done, that she's already on the edge, and it just takes one
Yeah,
thing to completely throw you off, at that point.
yeah.
So I felt that as a woman, though, I was like, "भाई, यही होता है."
That's very well executed,
Yeah,
actually, because I can imagine, like, when you're writing the treatment and you write something like that, like, oh, she's on edge, and like, she does this thing on a whim, and then but
yeah,
then executing it, on the screenwriting level as well as on the direction level, and in doing it in such a way that I bought it. I was like,
yeah.
huh,
Yeah,
entirely plausible. Yes, that makes sense. And it's also kind of exciting when she's sitting in that,
In
van,
that, yeah,
and she's really pissed off, and then the music kind of picks up, and you get a sense of like the wig is there, everything, you understand what's about to happen, and then it happens,
yeah.
and
The
then that's
yeah.
the transformation of character.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
do actually, the Faryal Mehmood, right?
Yeah,
I feel like, I've seen a lot of I haven't seen a lot of work, Faryal's work, but I've seen some of her work. For example, I've seen her in Rakib Se, which is amazing. It's a TV series written by Kashif Nisar, directed by him, written by Bikul. And I personally was a little skeptical about Faryal because everything that I've seen of hers, I feel that she's limited in some ways. Like the kind of tone that she speaks in and everything. Um, that it can sort of like different characters can sound the same, and you can definitely hear that tone here as well. But I think there is also some magic happening somewhere that elevates the performance. I think it could be the direction as well as like all of the departments, the cinematography and everything is amazing. So it's either the direction or it's also the chemistry with between Faryal and Gulshan. But something is happening that is sort of like lifting it up. And Faryal is very Faryal. I saw her doing an interview and she had an outburst in it, which was very similar to like the character. So I think it is very, very her. But it works within the
Yeah,
scope of this
I
film.
think
It really works.
credit to the casting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that
Shout
that's
out
I mean,
to Shahzad Ghayas and
I
um,
think Sana Jafri is well.
Hana Jafri.
yeah,
Hana Jafri and
yeah.
Shahzad.
Like the casting of this film was pitch perfect. I mean, I think
Mm.
that's the thing. That is the thing
Every
that really
character,
makes
yeah.
this, you know, like they all stood out in their own interesting way.
Yeah.
Like this was a grounded masala film. So it makes perfect sense that, it has some masala elements to it, but it's also at the same time it has heart and it has, a message, so to speak, like when we talk, oh, it's a film with a message, but it's not so heavy-handed with it as well. I feel that it's there, it's because, that's what the film is about. But at the
Yeah, I
same time,
think I'm so glad it wasn't preachy, you know,
yeah,
um, because if you're delivering a message or if you're talking something important about society, then you tend to get a bit, preachy
mm,
or talking about it. I think
yes,
was a lot of it was shown and a lot of it was in the narrative. Maybe some parts were, but again, even when she was Wakhri, then she used to be, giving all those, you can say, to
That wasn't
chai thoda
preachy
bahut.
either. It's
हाँ,
kind of
that
I
like
wasn't
mean,
very
preachy
though,
either.
Shakeel.
I mean, the thing is, okay, the smart thing about it is because they were rants,
Yeah.
and I think the post-production on it with the graphics and the way that they
Mm,
use social media to add commentary and that
yeah.
layer onto it was and it's so true, the kind of comments that were popping up
हाँ,
when she
Huh.
spoke her mind,
वो तो
they were so
we
spot
see
on.
every day.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
Ibrahim can talk about that a lot because he loves trawling through social media
Do I?
and looking. Yeah, I mean, like the way you go deep diving into TikTok, I think you very much can understand
Wow,
the kind of
Andre.
comments.
I didn't know
I'm a
that.
TikTok connoisseur. Like
Oh.
um,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
the
I agree with you that the kind of response that I actually I strained to read like all of those comments and they were spot on. That is exactly the kind of comments. It wasn't like under or over. It was exactly very well studied and
Hmm.
uh, so that was the rant itself. I think that the things that she said and that went viral, like
Hmm.
I feel like they could have been a little more like there could have been a little more zing there. That they could have
Hmm.
had a little more fun with the things that she said, but that's just nitpicking, I feel. um if we're talking about the reception, I think the response, the general public response to the film, or kind of that's how I see the film now. And for some
That's a
reason,
very interesting observation.
for me, I think that sort of like describes, for me, that kind of frames the film a little more perfectly than when before I went in and I thought we were going to see something based solely on Kandil Baloch's life. But I think looking at it from that lens kind of makes me appreciate it more, because what it does is it sort of, I think, ultimately looks at everything with a lot more optimism, despite looking at the dark side of things, despite sort of like being very candid about the way we, look at women, look at, gender minorities, all of that, despite that bringing still sort of like, looking at our society and things with a lot of optimism. But when I went in, I saw that the hall wasn't as full. And then, you know, I sort of like, I've spent some time sort of like trying to study what our audience is like. Um, I think we're sort of like, as a society, we have sort of like this appreciation for like conservative value system. We're not necessarily conservative people in our own personal lives or whatever, but we have sort of like, I don't know if it's an appreciation or if it's sort of like upholding conservative values. वो uphold करके वो रखने हैं ऊपर, whether or not, we do want freedom to exercise, for ourselves, but, we don't want that to go anywhere. So, you know, th- I feel like at the end of the day, you have a film that centers around, sort of like a buddy film, which I love buddy films, between, a woman who is um, a widow and in a custody battle with her in-laws, and a rebel to the core, unapologetic, right? We don't like, women like that at all. Um, and then we have a queer character, and again, somebody who is unabashed, somebody who like, dresses in a flamboyant way and sort of like, wears it. And again, as a society, that is something that um, we don't like at all. So, in a lot of ways within the film, what these characters are sort of fighting against um, is society at large. I mean, it's most people, right?
Yeah,
And then cinema is a mass medium, like a film needs eyeballs, right?
yeah.
Um, and so then this film is in front of, an audience which is like coming from the same members of the same society. And so what I sensed was that the audience, potential audience, also sort of is reacting to the film in the same way that um the detractors kind of, react to the central characters. They have the same prejudice, you know,
So
and
it's very
so
meta. So if you look
it,
at it, it's quite meta.
it is quite
So
meta. But the problem is that, then I think it becomes more important for people to sort of like, if you don't identify with that, and if you, stand for creating more tolerance in society, um, then I think it's important to support films like that. I don't know why with Joyland it didn't strike me as such a big thing, but here that whole Gucci's entire arc, when it was I was like, oh my god, this is happening on especially because I'm watching it in like, the most Awami cinema in Pindi, which I love. I love going and seeing, movies in the most Awami setting possible. Maza hi tab aata hai. And, it just so casually, takes this character through all of that. And I was like, this is kind of historic. This
mhm.
is
Yeah,
this is
that
pretty
see,
pretty
I mean,
huge.
like my reaction, honest reaction was this film is playing in Pakistani cinemas. That was my that if you want to know my honest reaction. Like how is this film
Same here, yeah.
my
There were some
so
moments in the film that I
so
was
in
like,
a way I was
how?
like, man, this is a hallmark of Pakistani cinema, if all or nothing. So if all
Yeah.
or nothing, people should just go and watch it for that very fact and say, I was there, I saw it, ये हुआ था, मैं था वहां
You
पर.
know, I do feel that the mainstream like film audience is not going to relate to that film because वो तो वो they might be the same people who don't approve of these characters. So I think it's really up
I mean,
to
it can very possibly one can say the same thing about Joyland when it was released in Pakistan. Really, like most Pakistanis can't relate to this, but at the end of the day, a film is the medium through which we're able to really see points of views and live through with characters that we might never know in real life or never spend time with them or know them per se. But I think the brilliant part about this film that I like about it is that it has something or the other for every other Pakistani you may know, from
mm,
every status or strata of society. That was the one thing that I liked about the script.
expand on
That
that.
well, for Riyad's character, I think most
Mm,
women can actually definitely relate to her struggle. Like that was the first question I asked Isha. Like, what is the like? Were you able to relate to it? And you like said, you definitely could. So I was like, that's spot on. Her transformation, that was the thing that you were said. Yeah, it's quite believable that it can
yeah.
happen, and that's true. Gucci's character, right? It's someone. There's quite a few people who can definitely,
Mm,
uh, you know, that I know, or you and I definitely know, there are people that we've seen who've gone through his transformation as well, and like he has
mm,
in the film. At the end of the day, he owns who he is truly to the
mm.
core. So that,
But the thing is that both of them are so unabashed, right? उसके लिए
yeah,
जिगरा
but
चाहिए
see,
हमारी
yeah,
सोसाइटी में
that's
and
the thing. That's right. At the end of the thing, is
हाँ,
that they push each other, to that part that which is like which is what I really liked about this film is that eventually they helped each other overcome their hill through one way or the other. So
mm,
from a character point of view, from a script perspective, even it works. But from a human perspective, from society's perspective, their friendship uh, culminated into something in which they were able to overcome their own small hills, where it was, Noor's character of, being labeled as, a widow who was not invited to certain places or, pigeonholed into certain characters and being told that, you need a man to survive in the society. So, that aspect of it, I really, really liked about the film that it's really talking to quite a few people, and it's no
mm.
easy feat to even do that. And from a writing perspective, that was something that I really appreciated.
अच्छा, I feel that it sort of doesn't work for people who enjoy aligning themselves with power and whatnot. And उनके लिए this is not going to be there. I think the film really has like sort of it's sort of like has this rebellious spirit to it,
No, no,
and
definitely.
so
I mean, like I'm talking about
you know
most people. Like, I mean,
uh,
if you're talking about the 1%, so yeah, the 1% doesn't care.
yeah.
They wouldn't even be watching films, these films for that matter. This film wouldn't, be even on their to do or to watch list. I don't know.
Hmm.
Or would it? Well,
No, no, I
Isha,
mean,
Yeah,
I think Isha has something to add to that.
yeah, I just want to add that obviously these points are valid, but even apart from that, if a film comes that is not the mainstream kind of a film. तो लोग नहीं देखते. I mean, even with films like Gunjal and Chikkar, जो आए, there are different films आई, right? So I like Gunjal में तो I was personally involved, so that's why I know that उसके shows भी like I don't know personally कि how it went, how it was received, but shows कम हो गए हैं अब बहुत कम लगी हुई है, so I am assuming that it उस तरह से commercially शायद नहीं चल पाई या struggle कर रही है. So
The
I don't
cinema,
know
when I
why.
went, there was nobody. Like
Yeah.
it was empty, and I asked the guy. I asked for a ticket, and I said, why is it so? I first asked him कि कितना hall कितना, क्योंकि उसकी वो screen नहीं नजर आ रही थी. So he's like, there's like 6 7 other people. I said, okay. I said, what about? Is it usually this low here? And he's like, there was another guy buying a ticket, and he said, it's the economy. He's like, hey, do you know what the economy is like? People don't have, we people don't have the kind of money that they can come to the movies. And the entire, I from what I can guess, I think they have five halls, and there weren't more than 5 6 people per hall in a cinema that used to be chock full over the weekend. So
We're talking
generally
about when
speaking,
Indian films were there, right?
mm, yes, but I think that even after the ban, like इतना कम वो नहीं हुआ कभी जितना, मतलब deserted था यार. There was nobody there.
No, man. I mean, the thing is, for me, honestly, the thing is, we have to understand at the end of the day
Like
is
the
that,
toilet was clean. Like that's how deserted it was.
like, that's true, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's yeah, Pakistan, like any cinema needs to have enough content to bring in all of, different kind of people. And Pakistani films right now still need that spillover effect right now. And right now we still don't we haven't been able to generate enough content to get that spillover effect.
Well, I think enough content. I think
भी
you,
एक वजह है, but if what Ibrahim is saying that if it is the economy, then
if
फिर
it's
क्या
the
करें?
economy, then that means that people will come out and pay for that ticket if you just show them a rollicking good time. It doesn't even have to do anything with reality, but like if they can make them laugh and like just make them dance,
Mm.
and maybe they will come. Going to the movies is not cheap. Again, वही वाली बात, petrol डलवाओ, you know सब कुछ वो करो, it costs something. But I think more than that, with this film, I think I'm sort of disappointed in the audience a little bit, because I think that even the economy, like everything that's happening in this country, like I think we have every reason to be upset with the status quo. Okay, and I think that people should generally be like, in that spirit to fuck shit up, which is what this, which is what the characters in this film like are, so I think कि अगर आप उससे नहीं relate कर पा रहे, तो you, like right now, like things in Pakistan can't stay the way that they have been, because us abiding and being sort of like obedient and whatnot has led us to this point.
Mm.
Us being good kids has led us to this point. And I mean, I don't think there's anybody can disagree that this is as low as it gets, and we can't afford to get lower. So I think
Well,
if there was
I mean, don't say that, please. Please. This we like अभी हमें नहीं पता. There there's still quite a few layers to the hell that we have not perhaps explored. Ted, but you're right. I mean, I agree that. I mean, honestly speaking, बात क्या है कि यार, going to the movies is not cheap. Yes, Entertainment हर किसी को चाहिए होती है, agreed. But again, like one thing I do feel is that I don't think it was marketed to uh, long enough. I feel that's the one feeling because I didn't see any posters in Karachi. Did you see any posters in Lahore or Islamabad, anywhere if you were traveling in Pindi, anywhere? I didn't see any posters anywhere. Although I've seen some other films, film posters, social media पे कुछ जगहों पे, obviously because I'm within that group and interest, so I was able to see the film. I think marketing has a lot to do with that aspect of it as well. How well the film is marketed and how many people are then able to see it. That is one science that I feel has yet to be cracked properly by um, many of our film fraternities.
Right. I would agree with you, and I would say that if there was a way to sort of market it to people who do not conform, I think that that would have been a good strategy, because I don't think that I wouldn't expect uncle and aunties to come, with
Yeah,
their
I mean,
families and enjoy
this is
this
a
film.
film
Oh,
definitely Gen Z
yeah,
oriented or millennials can identify with, or
boomers won't get
perhaps,
it
but,
at all.
well, I mean, maybe a couple of leftist
अंदर से जो
uncles and aunties.
जो अंदर से भी बूमर हो, बेशक बूमर एज का ना हो, वो भी
Well, I
देखिएगा
mean,
film को.
it can. I mean, if you look at it, I remember when I read the script, I asked Iram this. I just had one comment on it, like the dad character in the film, like who is he? I don't get a sense of that. Like, how can, like, what kind of a dad raised a daughter like that? So she was like, "Ooh, you're right." And then she started incorporating a lot of those things in the art direction. Unfortunately, it didn't come to we because in the edit we couldn't see a lot of it, but there's a lot of leftist paraphernalia hanging around the
That
set.
makes sense. He's a really chill dude.
Yeah, he's a very chill dude, fixing up stuff and whatnot, and and you can definitely tell it's a middle class income neighborhood, and it's nothing fancy. A lot of class divide between the central character and her in-laws. Um, and it raises questions. Okay, how in the hell did they meet? Like, what's going on here? So, but all of those things you're not questioning those things in the flow of the film, which is why I said it was really brilliant to get it in that suspension of disbelief. Although it's there in the film, if you choose to really parse through it and look at it frame by frame, you'll probably find it. I know I did. I was like, oh, okay,
Really? And
yeah,
tell us.
Tell us about it.
I missed it.
no, no.
Then.
Why why you? I guess you'll have to watch the film again. Good. See, I'm marketing the film. So that's what we're
Uh,
doing. See,
but
but
I
it's
think,
right.
yeah, maybe
I
that will
mean,
also.
see, the thing is that a good film has rewatchability in it as well, and I feel that this film has,
I'd watch it again. I would watch it
yeah,
again because I'd know for sure कि अच्छा enjoy ही करना है. Nothing bad is
uh,
going to happen. So
yeah.
I'll
I,
enjoy the music, enjoy like the editing
I
and
mean, I
everything.
love the cameos. Honestly speaking, they cracked me
Enjoy
up
the
every time.
cameos. Yeah,
The cameos were like brilliantly done, and like even when I watched the and then the dailies, it just cracked me up. Like it was just so well done.
yeah,
I think the art direction, the production design was brilliantly done
yeah,
as
Yeah.
well. I love the color palette of this film.
yeah.
Mm.
So
It
well
really
done.
caters to, I think, that जो South Asian audience का taste है ना, what they want to see.
Hmm.
Lots of color, like kuch khalipan nahi. Like it delivers that, and it does not read as sort of like a low bit mid budget movie at all. It just feels like a full on experience. But
It
I
does.
think thoda sa spirit I feel audience mein wo missing है, like that, sort of these people are unapologetically rebellious and unapologetic about it. and we're just very apologetic in general.
No, I mean the thing that was really brilliant about the whole thing, even Gulshan's the way his affect, the way he was delivering his lines, the way he was cracking jokes about, like all the other small things are there. Like it was, I think the every time he came on the frame, he just elevated the film. Like अचानक से
True.
पूरी यूं हो
Mm.
जाता था. So for me, I would like watch that film again, definitely, just for Gulshan's performance alone. Because every time you watch it, there's like the thing is he speaks so fast that you kind of miss out on certain things. Like what did he say? Let me just like
Yeah, that
did he
happened with
just
me.
say that? Did he just say that? Like you had those moments because he's एक तो ठोस पंजाबी बोल रहा है तो my as
Yeah.
an Urdu speaking dude मेरी पंजाबी बहुत मतलब बहुत फारिग है तो मुझे कुछ बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आती है थोड़ी बहुत समझ में आई थी but you could get that he's there's a there's a lot going on in there so
Mm.
when you watch it the second time there's a lot of कहते हैं ना inbuilt humor that gets in there it's there I especially enjoyed a lot of the scenes especially with the foil with the mini villain in the film Chaudhary.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think it was very
I
well
think
done.
he's a brilliant performer too. He's a brilliant
Really
actor.
brilliant. Like it's brilliant. Like it, बहुत
The
मजा आया
only
था.
thing I might want to watch more of was um the mother-son relationship because it was so nice and I
Yeah,
just wanted to have more of it. Especially when he got to know that, she is Wakhri, you know. Spoiler नहीं है ना? नहीं.
Oh no, spoil.
नहीं,
Okay, cut it.
बिल्कुल भी नहीं.
We do not
नहीं
know
नहीं
about
नहीं
mother.
है. I mean, I just want to
Then
like because obviously वो बात है ना. I think वो एक point था कि the next generation of men and women will be are more aware of all of these things and um so the expectation from a son, you know that reaction and that relationship, if I could have watched it more, would be so nice. Maybe a part two or something.
I really enjoyed her stepmother and father's
Yeah.
relationship scenes as well. The
Oh
This
way
yeah,
is
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
this
They
is
were
the
so nice.
what I enjoyed about the stepmother was that every time she had some sort of a protest or she was lecturing her, I could completely relate with her point of view as well. I could understand where
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
coming from.
yeah.
She's looking
yeah.
so she उसको नहीं caricature नहीं बनने दिया उसको.
हाँ.
You understood that she's coming from a place of love as well. So that was, I mean, I just have to say, like, I feel like Iram has really arrived with this. I don't know, like, how this film is going to do, but she's just, as a director, I think what she has delivered, that's her, right? Like, that's the point that she's reached now. So whatever she's going to do from this point onward is just, going to
Yeah,
have
man.
that finesse.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It will definitely.
Amazing. Matlab, I want to get there one day. That's the dream. And I think for that alone, like I think that the film that it does it so well, and that thing that she's saying about masala, whatever, the fact that she's taken this and she's delivered it in such a fun way, like it's just so upbeat and so
Mhm.
pacey, and you can get with it. All you have to do is sort of like drop some of your inhibitions and uh, क्या
Yeah.
कहते हैं prejudices.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have your
ये कर रहा
prejudices, you can walk in with the film and walk away with a sense of, okay, you know what? Let me re-examine them a little bit. Like are they founded? Are they unfounded? Like it's the thing that the interesting part is that even Bakhtawar's character, her stepmother, she also has a transformation in this film, right?
Mm,
So
Hmm.
that for me was also
Yeah.
that's what I said. Like
That's such a
like
strong
there are no small
scene.
parts in this film, truly.
Mm.
no,
Like
I
the,
really
the
liked, when she sees her hanging out with Gucci at his
yeah,
shop,
yeah, yeah.
and she sort of she says something, and Faryal's character says, he's my childhood friend, he's always with her, and she's like, you don't have to. Okay, she says, okay, fine, but don't
हाँ
do it in front of people.
like
I
इतना
thought that
खुल्लम
was,
खुल्ला तो ना करो इतना
uh,
खुल्लम खुल्ला तो ना करो I like that. That was true. That's true.
that's
And
also,
you
I think,
because you heard it for so many times, right? Like every other mother saying, like I have nothing more to add to this, but don't do this.
this was a stepmother, right? Or was
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
This was
yeah, she
stepmother.
was a step. Yeah.
Um, इसलिए भी because keeping sort of the audience's perspective inside, like sort of
Hmm.
like weaving that into the narrative, like that sort of keeps you know the audience with you, as opposed to
Hmm.
if you're not sort of like acknowledging it at all. So I think that
Hmm.
it did that very cleverly, where he was sort of like that voice of like reason and traditionalist there, trying to. So very cool.
Yeah.
um Okay. Would you recommend that people go watch it? What kind of people should go watch the movie?
Everyone.
And who should they
Anyone
watch?
who has eyes and
Everyone.
ears and
Go.
a heart and can, if possibly, borrow some money to, or perhaps bribe someone to go and ये जाके दिखा दो यार मुझे, I'll cook food for you later on, something. बस मुझे दिखा दो film.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
I think everyone should watch this film simply because of the fact that we need to watch films like these. It's
Mm.
simply not,
Yeah.
it's a good time for one. That's one reason. I'm not just gonna say it, oh, blindly support Pakistani cinema. No, I would never do that. We
Yeah, that
used to
time
do
has
that.
gone.
That did not, that time has gone. I would like, वो
Yeah.
नहीं है. Economy इस चीज की इजाजत कतई नहीं देती.
Kids
But
देख लो जाके.
yeah, yeah.
But good films,
So
please
yeah,
watch
but
them.
it definitely needs to be watched by more people simply because it's a good film. And it
It's a
really
fun
helps.
little film, and I
It's
think
a fun film that
the
will make
flavor
you
is
think.
very interesting.
At least that I can say that. If
Ah,
you might
Yeah.
not agree with everything, that's fine,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely fine. Which is what any good film should do. Is that it should. And the fact that it's playing in Pakistan is in itself a groundbreaking thing. So that will be your, that's something you can brag about. कि यार ये film पाकिस्तान में भी चली थी और हम थे वहाँ पे and
And
have a good
listening to
time while
good
doing it.
music. The music is
And the
very
music's
nice.
amazing, right? The music was good. This is
Yeah.
like yeah, I mean it's really I think Abdullah Siddiqui did it. Yeah. Abdullah
I think
Siddiqui.
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Abdullah
Yes.
Siddiqui's the composer of this. He also did Joyland for Greg. Yeah. So, like
He's amazing. He's so talented. Oof.
yeah, I mean that for the music, the visuals, the acting, और क्या चाहिए भाई? Go
I
watch the
Music
would
film.
speaks.
say that if you are happy with the way things are in Pakistan and you feel that that's exactly how they should be, then don't go watch this film at all. There's no point. However, if you feel that it is important, to have the right to speak your mind, to be able to say what you think, what you feel, to have that freedom, um, and if you're somebody who stands for yourself to have that freedom, and for other people to be able to say and do what they believe in, then go and watch this film, because it's a rare moment that something this sort of unfiltered is playing. And you know connect with that energy and then live that energy every day in your life, but also encourage the filmmaker, so that more people are able to say
Yeah.
what they mean, speak their mind, whether it is in person or on the big screen, or on whatever platform. um so with that, You know, this is
Yeah.
Ibrahim Khan, and this is, I don't know who is to my where, but Isha, I doubt it. That's Ali, and this is Isha, and we're signing off, hoping that you would go check this film out. And if plenty of you, oh, also do like, subscribe, and comment type things. And if you do that, then maybe we will watch some other film and come and talk about it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, please.
All right.
All right.
Bye. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
And ये cut.
क्यों भागी नहीं मैं
जा खसमानो खा
ये औरत काफी अकेली ही माशरे से लड़ेगी